Hey, dudes, let's get serious though. Like, you know, because like I totally forgot to read this article, and the article was getting too long, and like, trying to do it for the gram and the tube, and you know what I mean. So that's why we do them like that. But like, let's get serious real quick, right? Like, the right can. We're not done. We're not defeated. We're not. You know, it's not happening like that. They want us to think that. That's why they're going so hard in the paint. But if they won by 80 million votes, right? If they had so much success and they were so great, they wouldn't be going this hard in the paint against the opposition. They think, right? That they beat so maybe overhandedly in a landslide. They wouldn't be going that hard. So that right there, subconsciously and consciously, they know. They know, and we know. Everybody knows. It's the elephant in the room, y'all. Okay? So let's stop being like little children bickering over that kind of stuff. And let's actually start having these ideas. Let's be creative, y'all. Let's actually start being artistic. Let's actually start being fruitful. Let's actually start working towards something rather than just regretting and being mad about shit that's already been done. Because you can't change the past. You can't change what's been done. But you know what you can do? You can change the future. You can work towards doing stuff that's actually productive. You can actually do that. That's what you can do. You know what I mean? And then this COVID generation, you can either come out looking like you're going to be on the next A&E season of My 600 Pound Life, or, you could be a new trendsetter, or you could be doing all kinds of stuff, coming up with the next idea for how to go to Neptune instead of just Mars. You could be doing anything and everything you want, man. You can be the next Elon Musk if you want. But it all starts up here. And quit calling people Nazis real quick, because I just saw the ring. Look, check this out. This right here, people might be asking, hey, what's that ring Eddie be wearing all the time? Look, this right here, it's a Super Bowl ring about when America beat the Nazis almost 80 years ago, when my grandpa, right, Screaming Eagle, 101st Airborne, was in Holland, Berchtesgaden, Bastogne, and Normandy. Badass motherfuckers, G. It's in the blood, y'all. See what I mean? 19 years old, came back, was like, came back, raised a family, did all that. That's how we gotta be too. Just because shit had happening that was awful and horrible. I mean, imagine the things he saw. You know what I mean? At 19, 20, 20, imagine that. Okay? And then came home, worked, you know what I mean? Was a cop for a little bit, good, Try to give a priest a ticket, because, you know what I mean? And they said no, and he said, oh, screw that, I'm out. I'm gone, bye, see ya. So, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? I think there are good cops, y'all. You know what I mean? Then when you worked for Hughes Aircraft for 15, 20 years, you know? So, I mean, just think about that. He had a career, was raised in a family, did good. You know what I mean? I mean, that was patriarchy. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with the matriarchy. He died right before I was born. Right after. So, I mean, I don't know that life. But, you know what I mean? In remembrance, to live up to something bigger and greater than myself, that's why I wear it. And we already defeated the Nazis. It's right here. Super Bowl ring, okay? Like Tom Brady's, okay? This is how it is, okay? So quit calling people Nancy's, okay? Because they don't exist. It's just people you don't agree with. And it tells you right there. And it also says, I can't come up with a logical, intellectual argument to come up with that. So, you're a meanie head and poopy pants, and I don't like you, and go away, blah, blah, blah. I'm taking my ball and going home. You're a child. Stop doing that. Let's actually debate. Debate. Let's argue. Let's do this. Let's actually start doing this kind of stuff. Otherwise, what are you doing? This is why, anger is like poison, y'all, and you're killing yourself slowly. You talk about, but you guys don't like smoking cigarettes. But being angry like this, and actually living and breeding and cultivating and harboring it inside you, is worse than smoking crack and everything else. You can die real quick like that. Boom. Yeah, you can get heart problems. You know about heart problems right now, especially with COVID, right? I saw an article where they said a doctor said that COVID lungs are worse than smoker lungs. So you don't want that bad lungs, bad heart, and everything. That's how you get a dead life, not a good life, not your best life. So quit stressing, okay? Because that's not how you live your best life. No. 8 strategies for exiting the Biden year stronger than we went in. Also, The Federalist. This is by Joey Pullman. Joe Biden's inauguration is a sad day for those on the right. And it's not just because either through actual votes or through deliberate election confusion, we lost the Senate and presidency. It's because so many of us are deeply aware of what Democrat reign means. Tyranny. It means the acceleration of mass murder and forcing taxpayers to pay for it. It means, as my boss, Ben Domenech, puts it, nuns are back on the menu. It means, as I pointed out, the increase of public schools destroying children's innocence and facilitating minors' access to drugs that enable HIV-positive sex. It means an enrichment of the institutional racism of critical race theory in every institution possible. That's why everybody thinks everything's racist, because they keep pushing it on you, pushing it on you, pushing it on you, pushing it on you, and you don't get to live anything else. You're just like, oh my God, and that's what it is. But it's not how life is, folks. Trust me, okay? I've been to the bottomest of the whiskey barrel of hell, and I've seen a rainbow there. Not racism, it's poor life decisions or good life decisions. That's all it is, folks. Especially now in 2021, right? And you're going to tell me that people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, who's been there since fucking black and white television, since TV killed the radio star, right? They've been there since segregation and non-segregation. They've been there. You're telling me that they couldn't end racism or anything else, but they wanted to still stay in power? I mean, you got Feinstein's 89, 84 years old, still seeking re-election, but these people haven't done anything. Go look at the record. They haven't done shit. They can't even end racism or anything else. Our generation can, because ours is the most mixed race generation there ever is. Right? You go down Nancy Pelosi's house, it still looks like 1939. This is how it is, folks. That's why they think of racism everywhere, because that's how they grew up. That's what there is. That's what their life is. But it's not us. We're better than that. Gen Xers, the bottom half maybe. Millennials, Gen Zers, and beyond. We are the creme of the creme, bros. We are going to really change the world. We are. They're the ones that their best thinking got us to this point. If they could think anything better, we would be better off. Remember that one. It means Democrats rig more structures of American life against those who disagree with them, possibly preventing us from ever having a meaningful voice of our own grievance again. It means the proliferation of government spending that accelerates our nation's likelihood of a devastating economic collapse. It means frightening labeling half the country domestic terrorists, a label that prepares for stripping of more of our rights. All this in turn makes us increasingly vulnerable to foreign enemies, propagandists, and demagogues. Here. 1. Recognizing corporate media as a propaganda machine. Those of us who have been paying attention are now highly aware that corporate media and corporate text are a biphasic, I can't say that one, propaganda monster. We've learned through a 2020 of constant lies, information control, and gaslighting from COVID to Hunter Biden, who, Joe Biden's probably going to be pardoning him day one. We know that. Come on, it's his son. Come on. Let's be real. And that's probably something that you guys wouldn't mind if it was Trump or if it was George Bush or anybody on the right? So let's just keep it real. He should not be doing that, right? Right. That the quickest way to guess the truth is, as in communist countries, to read the state media are saying and then assume the opposite. While it's frightful that corrupt, pedophile, and even corporate media control our lives right down to the air that we are allowed to breathe and whether we are allowed to honestly support our families, and that the majority of Americans either believe their outright lies or are heavily influenced by them, this knowledge is highly useful, for it means that Americans are not necessarily... Come on, boo-boo. Come on, come lay down. Come here. Come on. Come here, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Hey, boo-boo. Hey, Nancy. Where's your ball? Get the ball. Where's your ball? Find the ball. Go find the ball. Sometimes you gotta walk two bubblegum at the same time. While it's frightening that our pedophile neighbor court media life we believe our lives are influenced. For it means that Americans are not necessarily supportive of socialism and baby murder for all the other things that Democrats do when in power. It means that our country still includes a lot of well-meaning people who love America but have deeply deceived enough to turn it over to its worst enemies. That's why we need to get rid of the Department of Education, because it's more like the Department of Indoctrination. Just telling you. 3. There's still clarity about the left's real goals. As the Democrats' lack of awareness, they lack the mandate of other than don't be Trump. They are going to overshoot big time. They are going to enact many extremist ideas. Even the propaganda media won't be able to entirely hide this from Americans, and there will be backlash. This will heighten the contradictions between Democrat leadership and many current Democrats base voters who are staying with the party even though the priorities hurt them in a nation. The lack of Trump as an all-purpose leftist scapegoat will assist with this. As has been widely noted, Trump was able to break through some of the racial stereotypes about what it means to be a Republican or Democrat, and even more now white support. With him in retirement, those of us on the right have opportunity to continue making this case without being saddled with this baggage. It's true. These two parties are not going to ever be the same anymore. Separation of the GOP from big business. It's not going to be the country club Republicans anymore. It's not going to be the cosmopolitan limousine liberals anymore either. It's just not. In the wake of the Capitol riots that weren't perpetuated by Black Lives Matter, big corporations and Chamber of Commerce have pulled their high-dollar donations from many Republicans and Republican political funds. Good. For years, elected Republicans offered lip service and placebos to their base voters and did what big corporations donors actually wanted, which was to hurt voters and structurally undermine their long-term support, such as through mass illegal immigration, which the caravans are coming now. They even CNN even had a video. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. They interviewed this guy, this migrant, illegal, coming through up here, and he says that Joe Biden gave them 100 days to come up to the border, and that they're going to give them and that Joe Biden promised them a better life for them and their families. But yet, look at what's going on. We have none of us are even meekly doing anything well, and then on top of that, they don't give a fuck about us. That's why even the Barstool Sports, all this stuff, community has to help community, because the government, and we have to vote these people out. We have to get them out. Recall Gavin Newsom, recall Pelosi, recall them all. We have to get them out. We have to do this now. This has rightly fueled the public perception that Republicans care only about money and rich people, rather than an equal playing field for all and the common good. Now, without those donations, they have no reason to offend and harm large number of voters to stuck up to small number of donors. This will make them more competitive and less corrupt. Accelerating the corruption cycle. COVID shutdowns with no end in sight are a violation of our natural constitution and human rights. However, as with a Biden administration coming to power, this evil will also cause damage to those who attempt to wield it against their enemies. It will mean a quicker downfall of many corrupted institutions, from churches that don't proclaim orthodox theology, losing parishioners who will never come back, from virtual church to death of higher education institutions that have been colliding with corrupt politicians to scam gullible young people out of their futures. Our country is populated by people who fail to the top. But the more of them there are, the more enemies they make, and the weaker their rig systems become, and the more aware their opponents, and the more people get caught in the middle of them become their decay. This will mean more cultural, theological, and philosophical refugees, ready for the lifeboats, ready for them now. Treating the close and the local. Targeting the close and local. With the Trump era has revealed the complete corruption of America ruling class to many more people. The stress test gives us an excellent template for what to target for fixing or elimination. Let every local, where it's possible, create the most secure voting systems in the world. Let every locale, where it is possible, elect and support sheriffs who will not allow a Biden administration to correct American Second Amendment rights. Let every Republican governor and member of Congress who has lost corporate support now make a ruthless plan to eliminate corporate favors from the entire legal code over which they have jurisdiction. Let every single town board and council put Comcast, Verizon, and all other ISPs and broadband providers on notice that if they do not adhere to First Amendment protections from all customers, these local governments will be finding another business to profit from their public infrastructure in their towns. Let every single legislator controlled by Republican ban the institutional racism of critical race theory in every single public workplace in their state, including universities, public schools. If every elected Republican will not support this, they should be put on record explaining why not. Everybody should be on record explaining why they ain't doing shit by citizens and their local news blogs. If the United States is to live under neo-feudalism, in which our rights are subject to the whim of whoever is in power and shift with every election instead of being protected forever equally for all under the Constitution, then let these neo-feudal lords begin to stake their territorial claims and protect their citizens as best as they can, serving the livers of abusers of rights deploy against, such as the federal funding. Force deep thinking on first principles, the sheer extent of the degradation of America's founding principles and the citizenry who once had the character to live under them clarifies what is at stake. No longer can we pretend that identity group and anti-discrimination rules are compatible with equal protection for the First Amendment. No longer can we pretend that a government can dole out unfathomable amounts of money and can do so without corrupting those both who give it and those who receive it with false charity. Engage in more conversations, not less. More talk, better ideas, right? Good is the right. Come on, we all know that. This is precisely the time for we anti-wokesters to coalesce around the principles on which we can all agree. This may be our only hope of survival. In fact, as in the Cold War era, to defeat our common foe, we need a broader coalition that is necessarily going to include a lot of people who disagree on a lot of particulars, and that's how we get diversity, and that's how we get better. That's how we do everything better. Persecution persifies and creates solidarity. As regarding the Capitol rioters, the propaganda narrative depicts us and Trump making a cacophonous, beaten puppy exit. But in fact, as this week's impeachment vote and more prove it was just a vote to vote on impeachment and do everything else. Otherwise, what was Pencil Neck doing for 3 months reading us nursery rhymes, right? Come on, we don't know this. They are scamming you and making you gullible with their procedures because they know that you don't know their procedures because who's watching C-SPAN all day? We are not like these writers anyway, including an ignominious exit. Yes, we are headed for the wilderness circuit, but that befalls a party out of power. But the truth is, we've been out of power this whole time. Trump was undermined and lied to continuously by every branch of the government, and he was elected to command. Being in the wilderness also has its advantages. They include loyalty, not sycophancy, but loyalty of the kind that only arises amid brothers and sisters in arms under constant attack. It teaches us to sacrifice, to become tougher, leaner, smarter, more agile. These are all great assets that may or may not give us a political advantage here in the temporal life, but absolutely makes us better fit for eternal life. And the left can ever truly command those peoples whose souls are free, no matter how strong they appear to be. That's it, bitch.